I want to thank everybody out there and for joining us on Mother's Day, and happy Mother's Day to all you guys. Uh, I have a cool guest tonight that I've been waiting to talk to for quite a while because she was cool enough to include me in her little project that we'll talk about here in a little bit. It is Brandy Herr. She is the co-owner of Granbury Ghosts and Legends Tour and the author of Haunted Granbury. How you doing tonight, Brandy?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. It's been a little bit of a rough day, but everything's gonna be all right. Mom's Day usually is hard when you don't have your mom. Um, so tell us a little bit about yourself, in case those out there in my audience aren't familiar with who Brandy Herr really is. So.
Well, I'm a Gemini, and no, just kidding. No, my mother and I run the Granbury Ghosts and Legends tour, which is located in Granbury, Texas, about half an hour. Doing this for a little over 4 years now. It's a 1 hour walking tour every Friday and Saturday night around Granbury's historic downtown square. We tell you the ghost stories and the history and the legends of the different buildings. And then in February of this year, my book, Haunted Granbury, this is right here, okay, it was published by the History Press. Tells a lot of the stories that we talk about on the tour, including, with a more in-depth look, talking about my own personal ghost hunting experiences and then interviewing other ghost hunting groups and other eyewitness accounts. So I've been busy promoting that. And then coming up this Saturday is another event that we've been working on. It is our third annual Granbury Paranormal Expo, which brings together ghost hunters and psychics and mediums and UFO experts and all kinds of weird, unexplained stuff. So that's basically what we've been working on for as of late.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot actually on your plate. Especially just the book alone, but doing any kind of paranormal expo or paracon or any kind of thing like that is always a lot of work. So I don't envy you on that front because it can also get a little hairy and a little stressful. So so you started the tours back in 2010, right?
Yes, April 2010.
Okay. So, what are some of the weird things that you've seen as you've been taking your tours and stuff around Granbury?
We've had some odd things happen. People like to mess with technology on the tours. So cell phones will start acting up. Have had two separate occasions where someone's cell phone will just randomly start playing music on the tour. One time they were really struggling to fix it, and I'm going, "What's going on? What are they doing with their phone?" And then it turns out it was actually playing on an app that they had never used before. So they had no idea how to even turn it off. And then another one that the woman told me that it started playing even though her phone has an alphanumeric passcode. So it's not really because you can't just bump it and it'll start playing. We've had it before where someone will use like the Ghost Radar app, and of course it's a free app on your phone. I always tell people take it for what it's worth,
Yeah.
Um, but one that was really interesting was on our cemetery tour. Sometimes we'll do a late night cemetery tour, and this lady was having a lot of trouble. She was using the Ghost Radar app, and it's supposed to be where it'll actually say words, that's supposed to mean what a ghost is saying. And she was having trouble using it because her phone kept turning its volume down on its own, and she couldn't actually hear the words. So that was something weird going on. So that was actually something ghostly with the Ghost Radar app that was not something they intended for it to happen. And then we've had people get some weird pictures. My favorite one, if you go to granburytours.com and click on Ghostly Tour Photos, the very first one is my favorite. I love it. It's one of the buildings called the Langdon Center. It's believed to be haunted by a little 5-year-old girl named Audrey Gordon. Yeah. And the day after I was doing a tour, a lady calls back all excited, "Oh my gosh, I got something." But as I was walking away from the building, she hangs back to snap some pictures of the building. She decides to rejoin the group. She calls out, "Bye, Audrey," snaps one last picture, and in that picture is a little girl looking out the window with little pigtails.
Is that White House that we were so intrigued by? We actually, let me back up a little bit. Fear last year, when the Granbury officer was shot, my team worked with Brandy and her mom, and we did a fundraiser for the officers that were shot and the one that lost his life. And on the tour, Fear was really into that actual White House that I believe you're talking about, where the little girl's picture was taken in the window. That house has always intrigued me every time I've come to Granbury, because something just pulls me to that house all the time. And I talked to you about it too, trying to get in there one time, and you were like, "Yeah, that's kind of tough," but I've done it, and it can be done, but it's just tough. And I know it's not open to a lot of paranormal teams, so nobody get any ideas about trying to get in there because it's not going to happen. But yeah, that house is pretty interesting on the tour, and I also wanted to talk to you about the Jesse James plot.
Right.
There's so much controversy around the Jesse James plot at the Granbury Cemetery because they have what they call a controversy about, is he really there, or is he in, where is it, Missouri? Is that correct? Is it Missouri that he's supposed to be in?
Well, he's buried in 3 different locations.
Oh, okay.
Missouri is the main one that everyone knows of. That's where, the history says that he's buried. Then supposedly he's buried here, and then also Canton, Texas, for some reason, and I haven't figured out why they claim him there, but...
I was just there. My uncle actually passed away last week, and so we were just there for his funeral. And if I'd have known that, I would have probably went over and checked that out. Actually, my uncle didn't have a graveside, so I didn't get to go to the grave. I know there's more than one cemetery there, but yeah, I love old cemeteries. It's so strange because when you drive out in the country, like going to Seguin, for instance, from Dallas, when we're going to Seguin, there's just like tons of little old cemeteries. There's like, and you're like out in the middle of nowhere. And there's just tons of cemeteries, old 1800s and 1900s and, early. And I'm like, I love that so much, but I don't understand. I guess because we've populated the city so much, there's nowhere to put anybody. So that's why they hook them up out there in the country like that.
Right.
So do you believe that he's, where do you believe he is? Just your personal opinion.
I think it's really a compelling story that it could be. We're never going to know for sure, but there is some compelling testimony that might point to him being here. Lots of people claiming to be his descendants believe that he's here. I talk about it in the book, but apparently one of his descendants, she did an article for the Albuquerque newspaper, and she claimed that it was kind of a conspiracy thing, that it was he had planned it all along with the Missouri governor at the time, and that it was, he faked his death. It was actually a man named Charlie Bigelow that was killed in his stead, and that Jesse James actually was his own pallbearer at his own funeral, and kind of a nice little thumb in the nose thing.
Yeah,
but,
right.
And that apparently, because the governor, Thomas Crittenden at the time, that he was really big on trying to eradicate the gang activity, and the James gang, of course, was high on the list. Well, unbeknownst to him, apparently Jesse James was sending a lot of anonymous campaign or contributions to his campaign and to his work there. And so the night before he was killed, he met with the governor and told him, "Hey, guess what? I just sent you a whole bunch of money, and so now you kind of work for me." And then apparently he was killed the next day, but that the only evidence saying that he was killed was the governor's word saying, "Oh yeah, he was killed," that there was no death certificate. It was just a really quick thing going on. There was no autopsy or anything. And he was buried. And then Robert Ford, as his reward for killing Jesse James, that he received an immediate pardon from the governor and $10,000 reward money, although some people say that some of that money went back to the governor after.
I'm sure it did.
So it's a pretty compelling story there. That that's actually been thought out. It's not just someone saying, "Oh yeah, he's here." But yeah, supposedly in the 1880s, then after he died, he moved here because he was working the railroads, and we've got the railroad station here, and he was under the name J. Frank Dalton. Then he moved back here with his grandson at 103 years old. He's a tough guy, because he wished to die and be buried in the same town where he'd met the woman with whom he'd fallen in love. He actually befriended the sheriff, the Hood County Sheriff at the time. He was only here for a few days before he passed away, but he befriended the Hood County Sheriff. After he passed away, the sheriff wrote an article for our local newspaper detailing the post-mortem examination he presided over, and that he claims he personally witnessed the scars of 32 bullet wounds in this man's body and a rope burn scar around his neck. So it's definitely someone had a pretty rough time, even if it wasn't Jesse James. But he actually he wrote in this article that he personally believed this was Jesse James, who died here in 1951. So.
Wow. Well, that's kind of cool because the night we were there was so many coins and things left, like to pay tribute. I can't remember what the coins are all about. Do you know about what the coins mean when you put them on a grave? I know you do.
Well, apparently, I'm sure there's several different theories, but the main one that I've heard is that it was common custom that friends of the deceased would place pennies on a person's headstone to try to help pay their way into heaven because the person was such a scoundrel that they need a little extra help. I heard another version there. I heard another theory that I mentioned in the book. A lady told me that she has people that live in Missouri, and so they know about Jesse James too, and that they leave coins at his grave in Missouri. And apparently, what they believe there is that Jesse James would leave a coin as kind of a calling card, and that he would leave a coin underneath his plate wherever he would go to eat. And so it was kind of like his tip. But it was also so that way, they wouldn't know they're waiting on him then, but then whenever he leaves and they go to clear the plate, they pick it up and there's a coin under there, and so it's like, I'm Jesse James. And so that's another theory there, too. So I'm sure there's several different reasons why people leave coins.
Yeah, that is crazy because there was a lot of money there, so he must have been a really big scoundrel in his time. I know that the stories that I've heard, he wasn't a real nice guy, so, I couldn't give him that award for the year. There's also a tie to Granbury that I'm extremely interested in. That's because of the Ghost Labs episode that was done at Granbury Opera House. And I talked to you about this before, that I've been wanting to get in there so bad, and they've been remodeling that place. Give me a little update on how that's coming along, because you're there every single day. Right. So you know where they're at with construction and remodeling.
Oh, it's all open now. It's the construction's done. They're doing shows now. So I still don't know how it is on being able to get in there. They seem to be kind of tight with it still, but we're trying to work on it. Who knows? But
well, that would be really, really cool. Fear would love to host something there. At any time they get ready to open that up, we would love to do that. Because not only is Jesse James tied to Granbury, but that brings us to John Wilkes Booth.
Right.
And there's so many stories about. It's almost like an Elvis sighting, like John Wilkes Booth was here and John Wilkes Booth was there, and it's just like an Elvis sighting, So what they got as far as Brad and Barry on the Ghost Lab episode was an EVP that said, "I am John Wilkes Booth," which is kind of crazy. But when you listen to it, you can really, you can hear it. You can actually hear it. And I don't know what to think about it. I would love to get in there and do some actual investigating for myself because, like I said, he was there and then he supposedly died somewhere else. So I really don't know if he did die in Granbury or if he didn't die in Granbury. I know he was there, though. Supposedly.
Well, he never did die in Granbury. That's not part of the legend. But okay. I always like to say that apparently Granbury is a place to show up after you've been killed. But, we got Jesse James. But the story is with that it was another person that was killed in the barn.
Okay.
Some eyewitnesses have even said that the person that was killed in the barn was a man with red hair and freckles, which is definitely not John Wilkes Booth. No. And that he actually escaped, moved here under the name of John St. Helen, and tended bar here at the local store, which is right next to the Opera House. He then fell very ill, and he was laying on what he thought was his deathbed. And so he decided to confess to his boss's brother, F.J. Gordon. And he also confessed to a Memphis attorney named Finis L. Bates, who happens to be the grandfather of actress Kathy Bates. I love that random connection there. He confessed to both of them that he was John Wilkes Booth. And so then later on, he actually ended up recovering from the illness. He thought he was going to die. And thought, I just let my story out. And people know my secret. So then he hightailed it out of town. And years later, in a town named Enid, Oklahoma, a man named David George committed suicide after having confessed that he was John Wilkes Booth. So if the whole legend ties together, then John Wilkes Booth actually died in Enid, Oklahoma. He never died here in Granbury. He just lived here
But he
for a
just
while.
was there. Okay.
Yeah, but it is supposed that he haunts the Opera House. I'm guessing being a theater, and maybe he just loved the town. Everyone loves the town, right? So
Yeah.
and actually, when I spoke with Brad to get some more information on my book, and he told me that the full audio they actually got was, "Yes, I'm John Wilkes Booth. You B word that means illegitimate child." So, but Discovery Channel, they made him cut the last two words off because family friendly. But so I like that added little thing, gives a nice attitude, So it's not just him confessing, but him going,
Almost sounds like a South Park episode.
Right?
Oh my God, they killed Kenny. You beep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't hear the whole audio, but I mean, hearing that EVP was amazing because of the energy that it takes for a spirit to say a full sentence. But it can't happen because I actually have an EVP from Miss Hattie's place that was full. I mean, a full sentence. It like said something and then it stopped and it said something, a whole sentence. And I'm like, it can't happen. Of course, when they drain every battery that you have, brand new battery you put in your equipment is completely drained. Well, yeah, they've got energy to say at least a sentence,
Right.
So tell me a little bit about how long did it take you to actually, or what started I want to write a book about Granbury? What was the actual kicker for that? I mean, knowing that you know pretty much a lot about the city, but
Right.
what write a book?
Well, I've wanted to write the book for a while. Ever since we started the tour, actually, I thought, it'd be really cool to eventually put it into a book. They've got ghosts of everything. So it just wasn't the right time, kept putting it off to do with the tour. And then I had seen an ad from another publisher saying about, do you want to write books about, ghosts in your hometown? We're looking for books. So I contact them, and they write back going, people have tried to pitch Granbury before, and it's just not a very, big market. And I'm writing back, no, I mean, we're right next to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We have people coming from all over the country coming on our tour. It's, there's still a draw. And she writes back, well, you can go ahead and, do the proposal, and I'll pitch to them, but they're probably going to say no. So I got kind of discouraged on that, put it out. A month later, if not less, I don't remember, I get an email out of the blue from the History Press, a totally different publishing company, saying, hi, would you like to write a book about the ghosts of Granbury? And I said, well, funny you should ask. So it turns out they're in Charleston, South Carolina, but the woman that contacted me, her friend works at UNT, and they had come on the tour, and so they recommended us. And so I still had to do the proposal, to be formal and make sure we're on the same page with it. But they, of course, approved it. And it works out because it turned, from what I understand, that the History Press is actually a much better publisher than the one I originally approached. So, but and then they've been just wonderful, working with me every step of the way on the editing and the format, and they're the ones that designed this cover. I took the picture of the courthouse, but then they stylized it and made it all pretty, and and the back there, and so I mean they've just been wonderful and really helping promote. I have my own go-to publicist, my own go-to sales rep, so they've really been beating down doors and getting it out there, and they've just been a huge help. So I couldn't ask for a better publisher.
Wow, that's great. And it's with the Haunted America series, too, which is cool. I actually have a couple of those, and I have to get Haunted Granbury because you've mentioned me in it. And me and Sherry actually are mentioned in it, along with, I'm sure, a couple others. But I really was honored for you to do that. That was pretty cool. Since you have asked me about Ouija boards, I have actually done some research, and I had Mr. Robert Murch on my show, which, if you know anything about Robert Murch, he is the Ouija board expert. He owns like 800 plus, and he's been doing, he's been working with Ouija boards for a long time, and he really helped me kind of open my mind about the way I felt about Ouija boards. Like, remember when you interviewed me, I'm like, oh, hell no, I don't mess with Ouija boards. You could open up a portal and blah, 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 blah. And after I talked to Robert and had him on my show, it was like a light bulb went off, and it's like, you know what? You're doing the same exact thing with your instruments anyway. This one's just using a board. You can probably get a demon coming through if that were not a rare occurrence, which I want to put a disclaimer out there. Not everything paranormal is demonic, folks.
Right.
So, but you can get some cranky spirits come through either way, whether it be you messing with a audio recorder or camera, or like the stuff that they do. I mean, either way, with the Ouija board, it just there's been so many misconceptions and bad stories about it that I'm glad that since you interviewed me, I was able to actually do more research and open up my little mind a little bit about not being so afraid of it. Not that I'm going to go out and buy one and start, messing with it or anything like that, but I'm not as afraid to be around it. I just choose not to use them. That's just my choice. That's a personal choice. But
another question I always had too is, what's the difference between trying to communicate with the spirit versus a board versus via a board versus using like that, a camera or a recorder. Yeah. So that's why actually I quoted you in that about the Ouija board. It's a small mention. I'm sorry. But
hey, it's a mention. I don't care how small it is. At least I got mentioned.
Because part of it's talking about some people were using the Ouija board at the Opera House to communicate, and so I just put a little cautionary thing. But I didn't want people reading the book and just going, "Oh, I want to go out and do that and get a Ouija board," and then something happens and then I'm to blame for it. No, she told me in the book to do it. So that's why I just have a cautionary thing in there about sometimes it's best not to mess with it. Use it at your discretion, sort of thing.
Exactly. Now I have done a couple of investigations at the jailhouse, and that was interesting. When you go upstairs and you see the little I guess platform. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing feedback pretty bad. Now I don't. Thank you. But that little platform up there, we had a REM pod sitting there, and some of us were in the women's portion of the cells, where they kept the girls, and I'm like, really? They had like 8 to 12 girls in this one room? Wow. I would not want to go in there. You know what I mean? If I was a dude, I would not want to go in there. 8 different attitudes? No, thank you. But then others were in the main part where the cells actually are still there. And all of a sudden it starts, going off, and we're like, we're trying to get you to talk to us in here. Why do you go out there? And it kept going off, and it was like everywhere we would go, it would run away from us. It would like go in another room. Like we would set up our stuff where it would be, and then it would move somewhere else. And it was like, I don't really know a lot about the spirits that are supposedly haunting the jail. And they do still do tours, or not tours, they do tours, but do they do actual private investigations still? Do they let teams come and still do private investigations, or no?
Yeah, you can still schedule it. Last I heard, I think it's $50 to get in there for an investigation. I don't know if that's changed or not, but
that's like nothing, man. That's like absolutely nothing. Although it is a very small place, and I would not suggest more than 4 to 6 people, because of every time you walk around in that place, you can hear every footstep, and some of the things shake and stuff around you. Because I'm like, I only weigh, I'm not even going to say how much I weigh, but it's over 2. And, I'm 6 foot tall, and it sounds like I'm about to take the place down when I walk through there. So it's like only 4 to 6 people. But what are the spirits, who are the spirits, I should say, that are supposed to be haunting the jail?
We have a bunch. The most common one was put in the newspaper was it's an Indian named Joe. Of course, I always say, isn't every Indian named Joe? But
Indian Joe.
Yeah, there's all kinds of Indian Joes up there. But so apparently, an automatic writer came in, wanted to communicate with the spirit, and he's the one that communicated to her that he's harmless, and that he was separated from his tribe as they were wandering this part of Texas. So now they figured out that he's probably just lonely, missing his tribe, wants some company. Had some other inmates in there that have come through, other ghost hunting that I interviewed for the book. One of them, they said that they were, getting some names coming through the EVPs, and so they were actually checking them on. They have the whole old historic register there of the past inmates, yes. And they were able to actually confirm some of the names. One of which was a person that was only incarcerated there for 4 days. So it's kind of weird. Why would you contemplate that you were only in jail for 4 days?
Yeah.
Another one, it might be, because you know how there's graffiti on the walls all over in there, and which I love seeing. That there was one in the main kind of cell that takes up most of the wall is a poem, and it's written by Stephen the poet. And so they think that it might be Stephen that haunts there as well. Crystal's one that told me this story that it happened to her, that she was reading the poem, and then that's whenever they started getting more activity and like someone kind of being grumpy and stuff. And that I've had some other people say that they got EVPs of someone claiming to be Stephen the poet. So we think that he might still be in there as well.
Huh. I know that creepy doll that's in that back corner cell. Mm-hmm. That thing freaks me out every time. He is so creepy. I'm like, I swear if that thing moves at all, I'm gonna leave.
Creepy in daylight, so yeah.
But he is creepy, boy. I also I'm kind of trying to, let everybody know how cool Granbury is. How much history is just right there in that little town square. The Nut House is another place that while we were there, we stayed in the Nut House. And, of course, people think I need to be in a nut house anyway, but I did stay in the Nut House with Penny, and Crystal was there with us, and we did a little bit of investigating. And we were getting some activity in, I can't ever think of her name. What is her name?
Mary Lou.
Excuse me?
Mary Lou.
Mary Lou, that's right. I knew it was country, like a Ellie Mae, but
yeah.
So Mary Lou. We were getting activity on the periscopes and our dowsing rods, and in that room, because we stayed in her room, we really didn't get a whole lot of activity. Now, Annette with Texas Ghostly Gatherings, who has been to the jail a couple of times, and I think she's also stayed in the Nut House a while back, she said that she caught an apparition standing in the, where the Nut House has all the stuff to buy, at the bottom of it, She saw an apparition, walk past there. And I was like, man, I hope I get to see a shadow figure that walks past there. Have you heard any other claims or had personal experiences yourself at the Nut House?
Yep, actually, that place is what inspired us to start the tours. My mother and I were working there as servers at a restaurant called Cafe Nut before it closed down about 4 years ago. It's in the same location where the shops are now.
Okay.
Downstairs. And we had stuff happen all the time. My mom would actually see a woman in a long dress and a bun, like not even a shadow figure, but just actually seeing a woman walking upstairs and on the upstairs landing, and cabinet doors would open and we have to shut them back, and faucets turning on and off. My mother one time it was a slow evening, so no one's in there, and she's in the back dining room training a male employee, so she's the only female in the building at the time. But all of a sudden, they both hear women's laughter coming from the front. And so they think, someone's come in and waiting to be seated, and they just didn't hear the door open. So they go rushing up front, going, oh, no, we're not up there to greet them. But there was no one up front when they got up there to greet the party. And then we had one time that my mother and I were opening up one morning, and we were getting set up for a party that was going to be on the upstairs landing. I realized we needed a second tablecloth, so I go down to the linen closet to get it. And my mother says, oh, I left the door unlocked. You don't need to worry about the key. I get down there, I turn the knob, and it's locked. So I get the key, I unlock it, I get the cloth, lock it back, testing the knob to make sure it's secure. A little later, I ask her, hey, would you mind getting me some napkins out of the closet? I locked it back. You need to take the key. She comes back and says, are you sure you locked it? Because it was unlocked when I got there. And we were the only two opening up in the front of the house that day, so no one should have been getting in and out of there. So we had a lot of strange things happen, and people would always come in and ask, oh, I hear the place is haunted, tell me your stories. And one time a couple ladies came in and was asking the same stuff, so we're telling them, and one of the ladies goes, does Granbury have a ghost tour? And we just go, that's a good idea. So, because we knew about, John Wilkes Booth, because actually that episode of Ghost Lab was being filmed the night my mother and I moved to town. So how was that for it's meant to be that we're starting a ghost tour, right? Who would have thought? But because we were driving through, we were staying at my aunt's house, and she lives past the square, and so we're having to drive through the square to get there. And it's like 9 o'clock at night, and there's all these tons of cars, and it's a Monday night, and it's going, what is going on the square on a Monday night, 9 o'clock, and we see the big trailer, Ghost Lab. So it was kind of funny. But yeah, so we started doing the research, and just trying to find out, see if we can get some more stories, and just we're astounded with what we came up with. And so that's how we started the tour. But it was Mary Lou that, started it all. And she was such a pillar of Granbury business while she was alive, and especially starting in the 1960s. She's the one that basically rebuilt Granbury into what it is today, and made it such a historical attraction, such a tourist place. And then so now it's kind of funny. I like to say even after her death, she's still helping Granbury business prosper. So.
Yeah, they have a statue right across the Nut House from. That sounds so funny. They have a statue right across from the Nut House Hotel,
Right?
and of her. And you know, the night we were there, we also were able to enjoy some concert. Y'all have live music down there sometimes, which kind of messes with your ghost tours sometimes.
Yeah, they haven't done that in a while, so hopefully.
Yeah, that night we were there for the fundraiser, that we had to wait a little bit for the tunes to kind of tune down a little bit because it was a little bit loud. But we had a great turnout for that. I really wish we could have raised a lot more for the families, but you know what? I think what we raised was you know, it's the thought, it's the effort, that kind of stuff is what we like to do. So if we can ever work with you again in the future like that, Fear would love to do that. Now, we have a big, huge thing that you've been working your tail off on coming up Saturday. And you put a lot of pressure on me, but that's okay. I can handle it. Bring it. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect from the Granbury Paranormal Expo next Saturday. Or actually this Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday. It's our third annual Paranormal Expo. It's from 10 to 5 at the Granbury Resort Conference Center. And it's just $5 at the door. And we'll have tons of vendors with ghost hunting groups and psychics and mediums and UFO people, and we'll have an aura photographer and all just kinds of shop type of things, like arts and crafts having to do with paranormal stuff, and just all kinds of really great things going on. This is going to be a really big event this year. The last 2 years we only used the bottom floor, and we had 28 vendors at each. Somehow we managed to have the exact same amount of vendors at each one, 28 vendors. This year, we are using the entire building, and we are right now at 59 confirmed vendors. So we're double, and I think some more are still interested in coming in, so might be selling out the place. So it's going to be really big. We have 3 speakers. Selena Roan at 11 a.m. And you'll be talking about being an empath in the ghost hunting field. At 1 o'clock, we'll have Janice Overding from Haunted Nevada, and she'll actually be speaking about the Ouija board. You can go and hear what she has to say. I don't know if it's going to be a yay or nay thing, but she'll be talking about that. And then at 3 o'clock, we'll have Dean Haglund from the X-Files and the Lone Gunman. He was the one with the long blonde hair and the glasses, the 3 conspiracy theory guys that Mulder would consult with. And he's actually going to be doing a one-man improv X-Files episode that he's going to make up on the spot with help from the audience. So it's going to be a lot of fun seeing what he does with that.
Well, I can't top a one-man show like that, but my presentation has been rather helpful, so I'm looking forward to doing it. I've changed a little bit of stuff around, a little bit about it, a little bit more information about being an empath because it's all new to me as well. And it's really a cool thing, and nobody really talks about it. You know what I mean? They talk about everything else, from even being psychic kids to everything, black-eyed kids to, whatever, or dark-eyed children or whatever you call them, black-eyed, what the heck. Anyway, so, they talk about everything like that, but they never touch on stuff like that. And, it's important because a lot of people have abilities, they're not understanding what the heck's going on with themselves, just like I did. I had no clue why I was feeling the things that I was feeling at certain places and I was fine at others, and I just didn't understand that. I think I've passed up bipolar and we're at tripolar at this point, so we need to figure out what's going on because I don't want to be like that at all. But it's actually been a blessing, and I'm actually opening up myself a lot more to it. So hopefully whatever I talk on can help at least one person, if that's good enough for me. So I know about Dean Haglund because my best friend that I lost, Kenny, we used to watch the X-Files constantly. He had a real hot thing for David Duchovny. And so we had to watch it just for David Duchovny, you know what I mean? But and his partner wasn't too bad, so. but the show itself was so cool, and now they're starting to play the the reruns on Chiller TV because I was watching Deep South Paranormal earlier, and I saw, X-Files. I go, oh man, Kenny would love that. They're bringing back David Duchovny's X-Files. So Dean is going to be doing a one-man act, and what else is he going to be doing? Is he doing just you get to meet him and take pictures with him, and
yeah, he'll have his booth there, and so he'll be at his booth. I think he's bringing some of his artwork because he does a lot of paintings, has alien themes. I know he did a comic book on the Lone Gunman. I don't know what all he's bringing. I'm sure he's bringing some sort of memorabilia, signing autographs, that sort of thing. So when he's not speaking, he'll be there at his booth, and you can come and meet him.
Well, that's cool because I've been looking forward to meeting him. And I'm sorry, I apologize to the female that is in between us talking because I cannot say her name, so I do not try to butcher her name. Can you say that for me one more time? What's her name is?
Janice Oberding.
Oberding. Okay, because man, I'm not good with names, and I would sure hate to call her something else if you know what I'm saying. So we're just gonna have 3 speakers, and then we're gonna have lots of vendors. Are there gonna be is there gonna be lunch breaks and stuff like that? I mean, kind of tell us how that kind of works.
We center ours to be very vendor oriented, very kind of laid back. We don't want to put too much in, and then people can't see everything, or they feel rushed. So we have it where there should be, give or take, depending on how long people talk, about an hour in between each speaker, in before and after. So it gives plenty of time to go see all the vendors. And then we'll have a food vendor on hand, Pearl Street Station. I don't know if there's, I know one year they did like tacos and nachos and stuff, like kind of street tacos. But so they'll be on hand, so it's not going to be a set lunch break. You can just go and get the food anytime you want. Like that, and that the speakers will actually be in a totally separate room upstairs. So that way the speakers and the vendors won't be conflicting with each other and interrupting each other. People can go see the speakers if they want, or they can come and still, mingle with the vendors, whatever. So, and that way also, it's just $5, so you don't have to feel obligated to stay all day, if you get there later in the day or have to leave, that sort of thing. We try to make it just very, very low key, it's very much for the public. So that way, getting, it's not just the diehard paranormal people, but even just people that just kind of have a passing interest. Oh, hey, this sounds kind of cool. Maybe I'll get a couple of questions answered and then learn more. So we try to make it very accessible to everyone that has any sort of interest in this. They don't have to feel like, it's seminar after seminar after seminar or something like that. That way they can come and meet everyone and, do shopping and, stay with the vendors.
Yeah, So with the vendors, we've got metaphysical shops coming out. We've got the Ghost Hunter store going to be there, which is me. We're going to have fear gear to sell, like T-shirts and bumper stickers and all that good stuff. Is Paranologies, are they signed on to come as well?
Yep,
awesome.
Paranologies will be there.
Okay, so we've got pretty much everything covered with this vendor thing, from A to Z as far as paranormal goes. Then.
The only thing we'll have some shops about it, but we have not been able to yet tie down the cryptozoology people. They seem to be as elusive as the ones they chase. But it seems like anytime I contact them, they've always got something else. So maybe next year I can get a crypto person. But we'll have we'll have Steve Hudgens with MUFON. He'll be there with talking about UFOs, and then we have some people that like I said, arts and crafts stuff, that they make sculptures, and they'll have like Bigfoot sculptures. And there's one that she does. It's a cow being abducted by a UFO sculpture. It's pretty cool. But it's all kind of random stuff. We even have a woman that she does paranormal themed nail polish. She makes her own nail polish colors, and they're all named like Chupacabra and Jersey Devil and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So it's just going to be a whole hodgepodge of things. Hopefully something there for everyone to enjoy and come away with something.
Oh, that's great. Also, what about the wine bottles? I saw that the wine bottles. Can you tell me how that's going to work?
That's a new thing we started this year. We're not allowed to sell alcohol there, so we're just going to have it on display. But it's a wine bottle with a special Cranberry Paranormal Expo label, the one that I made to be a little promo. And it's got your picture on it, along with Janice and Dean. Those are available at Divine Wine down on the square, just a few blocks down on Bridge Street. And you go in and you can choose whatever wine you want, and then he'll put the special Granbury Paranormal Expo label on it for free. And the wine ranges from $14.99 to $18.99. Then you just have to ask for the Paranormal Expo label. So you get your own favorite one.
My face would be on a wine bottle. Let me just tell you that. But I do appreciate it. It's really cool. I'm really looking for. I don't. Do you have anything planned for after? I mean, because I know a lot of cons usually do, a lot of paranormal things usually do. So, do you have anything planned for after?
We don't. It's mainly sleeping. But we'll be doing the ghost tours, of course. We do them every Friday and Saturday night. So Boots, our tour guide, will be running the tours that evening at 7 o'clock and 9:15. And then, but otherwise, we just kind of leave it up to if any other groups want to schedule something, contact the different people, places to investigate if they want to. We'll probably be going, it's not paranormal related, but it should be fun, that from 4 to 7 at Grumps, the burger joint there on 377, that one of our local celebrities, Turtle, the painting pit bull, will be there, and she's a rescued pit bull, a rescued bait dog from dog fighting, and that she actually paints paintings with her paw, and she'll be there painting and raising money for her charity, Respectable. And so we're gonna go and check her out and support. She's one of our favorite charities, so we're gonna go and support her. But so that's not paranormal related, but we encourage people to go and check it out and help out a good cause. So.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to always be paranormally related. I mean, it's nice, but it doesn't have to be. Is there any other thing that you want to tell us about, like any events that you're going to be at, or book signings, or anything like that after the expo, so that people can come out and get your book?
This is the last one so far. I've been just concentrating so much on this one. Once this is over, I'll start probably, scheduling more events and more signings. I will be selling the book at the event. And I'll be running around like crazy. So if you want to buy the book, they'll describe what I look like. You won't be able to miss me anyway. I'll just be constantly running. So you can just, clothesline me and grab me and I'll sign it for you. So they will be there. And then, of course, they're available online, Amazon and major retailers, print books, and it's also available as an ebook, iPad, Nook, and Kindle. And then it's available at a couple stores down on the square.
So they've been real supportive, I'm sure, because you're promoting them Granberries. All of their businesses down there should have your book.
Well, actually, yesterday my mother and I were walking around putting out more rat cards for the ghost stores, replenishing them. And at one of the stores I went into, the woman goes, "Oh, we just sold your last book." And then I went into another store and she goes, "We just sold 2 of your books."
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's always helpful. Well, tell everybody, we're at the end of the show, tell everybody how they can find you on Facebook and your website and all that good stuff, so that they can get a tour with you.
Okay, our main website is granburytours.com, and that's GRANBURY. Everyone puts a D in, but there's not a D. So granburytours.com. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/GranburyGhosts with an S on the end. You can check out the Paranormal Expo at GranburyParanormalExpo.com or Facebook.com/GranburyParanormalExpo, or my book, Facebook.com/HauntedGranbury.
Cool. And so I look very forward to seeing you next weekend. Setting up and all that. What time does setup start, by the way, while I have you on?
8 a.m. to 10 a.m. You don't have to be there by 8 a.m., but as long as you're set up by 10 a.m., you're good. So.
Okay, cool. That's not a problem. I got this. Yep. I really appreciate you being on my show tonight. And if y'all need tickets to go to the Granbury Paranormal Expo next weekend, if you want to see my mug over there, or Brandy too, you can clothesline her to get an autograph on her book. Just look on Granbury Paranormal Expo and .com and get your tickets. They're $5, people. It's not that hard. And there's going to be a whole lot of cool stuff there, and I can't wait to meet Dean. And so I'm looking forward to it. So thanks a lot, Brandy, and you have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
All right. All right, everybody. That was Brandy, and she is the author of Haunted Granbury. And you need to get that book because it's very informative about Granbury, and it's got a lot of things that you need to know before you go. Anywhere over there is good to actually investigate. Now I've got to get my people to get us into the Opera House because I'm dying to get in that place. A couple things we have coming up, like we talked about, the Granbury Paranormal Expo, which is Saturday in Granbury, Texas. I will be there speaking and two others, and we will have a whole bunch, like we said, of vendors, so you can come out and check out the Fear table. We'll have Fear t-shirts there. We'll also have Ghost Hunter store equipment, and you can also order, Paranology is going to be there as well. I'm actually a rep for both, so. Then June 27th, this is something that I've been counting down the days for. Andrew Jackson Hotel in New Orleans with the Deep South Paranormal guys. They're actually really good friends of mine. There is one ticket left. We were sold out last Sunday, and then somebody had something happen, and so the ticket came available, so we got one spot left. You got to get that ticket because it's going to be an amazing, amazing investigation and event. You won't want to miss it. Define Fear, you can find us on our website, which he's been putting up pretty much throughout the night. Fear Paranormal at wix.com/fear-1 is our updated website. And go to our Facebook page, Fear Paranormal Society, and give us a like. We've got so much going on, so much coming up. After I speak at this little place, we're going to have a lot more investigations coming up, and we'll be posting all of our evidence, well, not all of it, but the good evidence on our Facebook page. So check that out. I would like to also thank our sponsors tonight, Syntex Roof Systems. They're in Waco, Texas, but they do more than just roofs now. They're building buildings and redoing a whole bunch of remodeling stuff inside your house. So give them a call. They'll hook you up, and they're on it. Then I got Able Towing. They're pretty much around the North Texas area, but he'll go anywhere if you need him. If you're broke down somewhere, just give him a call. And last but not least, NOLA Ghost Hunting Tours. My guy down there, Chris, and the boys, Kevin and Randy, from Deep South Paranormal, they got their tours going on, and it is awesome. They don't actually just walk you around and tell you about this, that, and the other. They actually give you some equipment, and you're actually a ghost hunter with them for the evening. They have awesome location. A lot of them actually that they have access to. The main one is the Jumani Lounge, which is an amazing place with a lot of history, and they've been getting a lot of good evidence out of that place, so look them up. Next week on my show, I've got Josh Hurd, who is an investigator, an author, and a speaker. We got a lot to talk about. Josh has a project that we're going to be trying to get going, which is going to be beneficial to the paranormal world, I think, because Josh is no joke. Give us tune in next week and just give us a listen, because there's a lot to talk about there too. Until then, you guys, happy Mother's Day to everybody. Happy Mother's Day to my mom in heaven, and peace out.